Da-da-da. Here's a hand. Da-da-da. Now, I think what I'll do in going over the hand, there's quite a few little carpal bones here. These are the metacarpals. These are phalanges. This is generic bones of the hand. But I think what I'll do is I'll introduce you to the names of the bones real quickly. And then I'll tell you some mnemonics. And then I will tell you some details about some individual bones, just kind of more medical applications in regards to these. But this is a left hand. I'm holding it in my left hand, and so this is very much like the bones that are a part of my hand, except this is from a person that's a bit bigger. It's a bigger hand than me. It's kind of falling off of mine. Well, let's do the easy bones first, and that means starting to look at these more distal bones, these ones that make up the fingers. And for all of these 4 fingers, not the thumb, you see that there's 3 bones that are in a row. Let me take a look at this one. And these are each called phalanges, but as you might expect, they get different names, but they're very easy. This is the distal phalange. It is more distal, the middle phalange, and the proximal phalange. And so they each 3 have those names for all of these 4 fingers. And then for the thumb, there are just 2 phalanges. See that? And so there's the distal and the proximal. Then the bone that is found in the heel of your hand, these are all metacarpals. And your digits get numbered. They get numbered starting with the thumb. So this would be metacarpal 1, metacarpal 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Then we've got these guys. We've got the carpal bones. And like I said, what I'll do is I'll just quickly go over the names so you know them, and it'll always be here at the beginning of the video, so that, you know, if you just need to learn names, they're right here. And what I'll do is I'll start with the more proximal bones. There's 8 of them, and we kind of arrange them into the 4 more proximal bones and the 4 the 4 more distal bones are the ones I'm pointing to, and these 4 more proximal bones. This one here I'll start with is called the trapezium, and it has to do with its shape. And there's a mnemonic for this. The trapezium is under the thumb. Trapezium. Then there's one that's right next to it. It's under the 2nd digit. It sounds quite similar. It's called the trapezoid. And so we've got trapezium, trapezoid. And then we have these 2, which are fairly large bones. This one here in the middle is the largest carpal bone, and that's called the capitate. And then this one is called hamate. Then let's do these more proximal bones. There's this one, that's the largest of the proximal ones, and it has a bit of a ditchy shape to it, a bit of a boat shape supposedly. That's how it gets its name, scaphoid. And then there's this one, which when you kind of move it around and look at it, it looks kind of like a crescent moon shape, and so it's called lunate. So scaphoid, lunate. And then this one is called triquetrum. And then this one, it's the smallest one, and it sticks out here on the pinky side, is called pisiform or pisiform. That's in what I think of it as kind of being in reference to fish. Well, you know what, I'll tell you about the kind of mnemonics and names in regards to that, but here I'll just end with that. So scaphoid, lunate, Triquetrum, pisiform. Okay, next I want to just give you some quick mnemonics for the carpal bones. And I'm going to give you two different mnemonics, and they actually go through the carpal bones in a different sequence. This first one I'll tell you about kind of treats them like rows. So you're going to go to the thumb side to the pinky side, and then you go thumb side to the pinky side again. It's just the more proximal bones versus the more distal bones. And so the mnemonic is, and what I'll do is I'll touch the bone that goes with that word. Some lovers try positions that they can't handle. Okay? There's another mnemonic, and it first starts out this way, and so it starts with a scaphoid as well, but this is so long to pinky, which makes sense, you're out here on the pinky side of it. Here comes the thumb. So that's another mnemonic. Okay, so here I just want to talk a little bit about some other details of these carpal bones. And well, I'll start here with the scaphoid. It gets its name because it's boat-shaped. Kind of, I don't know, like a little canoe maybe. And it, in terms of medical applications, is the most often fractured bone. It is the largest bone. It touches up against the radius, and so like with a lot of falls on the outstretched hand and the radius to the wrist bones here kind of bear the brunt of that, and this one is more commonly fractured. It also, along with this bone, the hamate, tend to have a poor blood supply, and so they end up not healing as easily as some of the other carpal bones. Then with the lunate, this one, while less fractured, ends up being the most dislocated one, one that's a bit more easily pulled apart from the rest of the carpal bones. This one, the triquetrum, it gets, oh, and remember lunate is in reference to having it look kind of like a moon, luna. So this, the triquetrum, means three-cornered, and I think in lab you can kind of get a sense of that. Take a look at it and see that it has a bit of a kind of triangular shape. The pisiform or pisiform, this is the smallest of all the carpal bones, and it actually it's a sesamoid bone within a tendon, so it actually doesn't function in wrist movement. It is very small. Pisiform means pea-shaped. It is kind of very small and little. When I think of pisiform, the PIS of it reminds me of Pisces, which reminds me of fish, and so I think of it as kind of the little goldfish that my son likes to eat. You know, those little snacks. This little guy. Okay. It's also next to hamate, so you can think of ham, fish. I don't know if that helps you. The hamate has this hook shape to it. The ulnar nerve kind of running along next to it. And the capitate, which means head-shaped. It's kind of the kind of, I don't know, the head of all the carpal bones, kind of here, the largest one. Here with trapezium and trapezoid, the meanings of their names are actually quite similar. This means that it is a table, and then this one means resembles a table. So that's just in reference, I think, to having kind of a flat top to it. This one is kind of small, a bit triangular shaped, the least fractured of all of the carpal bones. So that, I think, maybe helps you. You know what, I'm going to flip it over so you can take a look at it on the other side, what these bones look like. But when you come into lab, you'll be able to see all these bones and familiarize yourself with them.